their enemy because we're trying to make hockey more affordable. Will they keep raising prices ultimately? So
hockey is a game built on passion, grit, and dreams. But for too many families, skyrocketing equipment costs have turned that dream into something out of reach. Today's guest saw that problem up close and decided to change the game. Zach Thomas is the CEO and founder of Swift Hockey, one of the fastest growing independent hockey brands in North America. At just 19 years old, Zach challenged an industry that said elite performance had to come with elite prices and proved them wrong. From a bold appearance on Dragon's Den to national recognition in Forbes and a growing global community of players, Swift Hockey is redefining access, innovation, and what's possible when purpose meets perseverance. This is a story about belief, bold moves, and building something bigger than yourself. I'm Larry Sprung, your host for the Midland Money Mindset and founder and wealth advisor of Midland Financial. Let's dive into the show. Well, I am super excited today to be with Zach Thomas, CEO and founder of Swift Hockey. And as all of you listeners know, I love talking about business. I love talking about the entrepreneurial journey. And when we can weave hockey into the conversation, it makes it even that more interesting for me. I love hockey, as you all know. So, hey, Zach, listen, I want to start out with you. Welcome to the show. And, we're going to spend a lot of time on what you're doing today with Swift Hockey. But can you share, so our listeners have an understanding of who you are, can you kind of share with them what was your path up until the point of founding Swift Hockey?
Wow. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for the intro. Great intro. It feels like it's been so long, but it's really only been 3 years. So I guess starting in my early days, my intro into hockey is I started hockey at the age of 10 years old. Went through all the ranks, AAA, House League, all the way up until I made a minor pro and major junior as well. So then on top of that, I just kept playing and kept grinding. And I ended up, keep making Swift Hockey after I kept seeing a consistent problem in the industry where, as you know, as a hockey fan as well, just hockey sticks is just such a problem. And they just keep breaking. And there wasn't necessarily a fix. And throughout my whole career, it was almost like trying to find that fix for my family and myself personally.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So tell our listeners, because I'm not sure, maybe they don't know yet. Tell our listeners, what is Swift Hockey? What are you all about?
Yeah. So I guess one of the biggest problems in hockey is just accessibility. And there's a lot of people being priced out of hockey, in my opinion. And we're trying to make hockey more accessible. And there's so many other barriers other than equipment, but we're starting with making a more affordable hockey stick that's pro quality and a pro line stick as well. So the comparison, high-end hockey sticks around $400 to $500 right now, and we're at about $150. So we're such a massive gap in between to, make $150 still isn't cheap for a hockey stick. It's still like an expensive hockey stick into comparison to everything else, but we're really trying to make a pro line hockey stick and make it affordable for everybody else as well.
Yeah. So why, I find very interesting with you, 19 years old, you founded Swift Hockey, right? Why at such a young age did you decide to just jump in with both feet into solving this problem?
Yeah, you know what? I was always an entrepreneur from like the age of 10 years old, and like I was selling bracelets, selling hats out of school. I was kind of doing everything as an entrepreneur, and COVID opened my eyes ultimately into real business in a sense. Where like I had to do something. I didn't have hockey anymore. I didn't have sports. I really couldn't leave the house. So I put all my time into just on YouTube University, learning everything I could about like actual business and not just like reselling shoes or reselling bracelets, whatever the case is. So I put all that time into there. And then, when I started following a passion of it, and I did a bunch of e-commerce businesses, drop shipping, bunch of other e-commerce businesses as well. I ended up doing pretty well in a couple of them. And then I kind of took that passion of e-commerce and then in hockey, and then I kind of created Swift Hockey to solve that problem as I felt as a kid growing up.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you feel like there were any additional challenges at 19 that you had versus, older founders, if you will?
Tons. Like the problem at 19, like I was in the e-commerce dropshipping world, and I never really experienced what it would be like to actually build a brand, like the difference in price on like the operating cost side. So the staff, the marketing, the all sort of dollars I didn't have to really deal with before. It was such a big aspect, and being 19, you have access to no capital. You have you can't go to a bank. Banks won't approve you. You can't get a loan from anybody. And you're still so much of a startup that you're really not getting investor interest at that point. So it was almost a situation where it was like we had to grind and scrape to, I guess, get by every day. And, those are the moments that mean a lot, because we started the company out of the storage unit. Like my basement first, and then we went to the storage unit, and I kind of grew the team through the storage unit, and now office on office, and we keep growing from there. So it's definitely been a good experience. But 19, you learn a lot going against some of the massive giants we're going against, and we battle a lot. Like we're their enemy because we're trying to make hockey more affordable. Well, they keep raising prices ultimately. So.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, right? Because those who are listening, if they are a hockey family, they know what the cost of sticks are today for their kids. As you talked about it, easily $300, $400, $500. Even if you're not a family that plays hockey, now they're $300, $400, $500, and it's not like you buy one like a bat and it could last a very long time. It's a stick, you could buy it today and it could break tomorrow at practice for really no reason whatsoever other than getting hit the wrong way. So I feel like people would be asking, how are you coming to this marketplace and now manufacturing and being able to distribute sticks at $150 price point, well below 50% of what others are typically buying them? How what's the secret sauce about your ability to do that?
You know what? It's really not cutting corners, and we do a lot of things different. Like we're a smaller team here compared to any of our competitors that we're really going against are 100 staff people. They have all these expenses. We've cut expenses so low to try and maintain our price as well. And on top of that, we're really just not as greedy. That's really what it comes down to. And our business model is like, for a hockey stick, as you understand as a hockey fan, it's really weird to be a direct to consumer e-commerce brand in hockey. Because you break your hockey stick, you need one the next day for practice. So that's where we're able to maintain our current prices and not have to raise them, because we've almost not gone retail in a sense, where we have to deal with our cut and then the cut that the retail wants and all these retail fees to get by. We've kind of owned everything so far.
It's kind of crazy because I remember when I was growing up playing the game, and I'm going to date myself. I think I used to buy like Sherwood 50/30s by the dozen, and I think they were like $30-$35 a pop, yeah. and that was that. Now, my son buys them by the half dozen, and the bill is like a mortgage payment for many. So, thank you for going down this path and trying to make it more affordable, because it's definitely an area that I think keeps a lot of folks out of the sport.
No, I appreciate that. It's a horrible thing. I think even for people that can't afford hockey, it's like it's still a pain.
Yeah.
It's still like everything's so expensive. The sticks are so expensive. The skates, as you understand, $1,200 with no blade anymore. They're not even selling it with. So like there's so many differences that hockey's just been ruined in a sense, and it's keeping so many kids out of hockey.
Yeah, I agree. So listen, you're a first on this show. I've had and spoken with several Shark Tank folks as guests on our show. We've had a lot of Shark Tank companies, and you are the first that I've had who was on the Dragon's Den, which for those of you that don't know, the Dragon's Den is basically Canada's version of ABC Shark Tank. And when you went on the show, the Dragon's Den, you actually received 3 offers, but, not too different than a lot of people who've been in the Shark Tank. Your offer did not, close. It didn't come, over the finish line, which happens very often, it seems like, with folks that are on, the U.S. version, the Shark Tank. What did that whole experience teach you, from going on that show and being a part and, getting an offer, but ultimately not closing? What were the takeaways for you?
Yeah, lots of takeaways from, I guess, that situation. Stepping back, it's almost realizing that it's still TV at the end of the day. So a lot of the things that are going on in the back end, and even like the type of offers they give out, it's really just for TV. And it was definitely such a great experience. And I owe a lot to, I guess, the start of our company, because we were on Dragons in about 6 months after I started, to be honest. So it was like a quick turnaround to get all that press and all that PR in the early days. And it's definitely helped us take us to where we're at. But, I guess going over that deal, the reason why we didn't really move forward is because we didn't hear from anybody for about a year after the show. So I guess hearing from nobody for a year after the show, and then we deal with the airing, we deal with all the press we're getting, and we're growing as a company every day. It's the valuation that was there just wouldn't have done anything for that amount, to be honest. Like, it wouldn't have changed anything within the company.
Right. So what I'm hearing is you decided to step away because there was such a margin, a markable change in that 12 months that the deal that was presented to you 12 months earlier wasn't really the same deal that you'd want to accept in that moment, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. Massive, massive change. I guess on our end, like, it was almost a situation where, like, we really needed a deal to move fast on. And if we move, because we're a growing company, that if we get capital fast, it's a different story. But if that deal was offered and we left Dragon's Den with a briefcase, it still would have been to this day. But I guess the time and the length that we didn't hear from anybody was definitely eye-opening, especially where we actually accepted one of the worst offers on the show, to be honest. Like, that wasn't the best offer we got. So picking that offer because the individual said, I guess we were going to get a lot of extra things, and he was kind of going to guide me as an individual, was definitely the reason why we picked a little bit worse of an offer, because I felt like there was a little bit more value in a sense. So,
yeah. So knowing what you know now, right, after going through that process, would you have still gone on the show, or you think it was beneficial because of the fact that you got the exposure, the notoriety, et cetera, from being on the show itself?
Yeah, I guess being on Dragon's Den is nothing like Shark Tank, where I guess I know you've had a couple people on here, like, they'll leave Shark Tank and they're flooded with sales and their business just booms. We didn't necessarily have that same boost. Dragon's Den back in the day was so much bigger than what it was now. And it was like such a massive show. Everybody would turn on every single day. But when I went on, it wasn't as big as it was back then. So the actual sales and the dollar amount we got, like, right out of that show wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be honest. I thought we were going to deal with an explosion like what I've heard on Shark Tank. But how we got leverage is we cut up the whole episode, and we made clips, and we did what we can to get it out. And I think we got over probably 10 million views on just cutting those up. So we did better than the episode views just by cutting it up and making our own thing from it. So
sounds like you manufactured your own promotion out of the deal. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it ended up being good, but the initial take when it wasn't great. Like, we had to do a lot to actually get it to be super beneficial.
Right. Now, the PWHL, which is the Professional Women's Hockey League, for those that aren't aware, is really working and growing the game. And, Swift is part of that. Can you tell us a little bit about, what's your role in helping the PWHL, grow the game, and a little bit maybe how that partnership came to be?
Yeah, the PWHL is it was a great league for us to, I guess, start our first real professional partnership with. They are one of the organizations that's, we're really brand aligned, and like they're really trying to grow the game on their end, and I guess introduce like an actual vision for females to move forward in the future. So that's something that we align with, is just growing the game in just all capacity. So I guess our partnership came about where that was something always on my mind. Always, the goal is always to see your stick in the NHL. So that's the goal. But having the PWHL there was definitely such a great opportunity that we owe a lot to the PWHL for us having a partnership with them, and being one of their main providers there as well.
And are you, I guess you're providing sticks to the league and to the teams. Is it across the board, or just certain teams or certain players are utilizing your sticks?
Yeah, it's across the board. Anybody can use their stick in the league. Any team, kind of whoever requests that stick. And then we have some partnerships and some, I guess, signed athletes as well that we're working with on that front, that has definitely helped grow the brand, and I guess show the PWHL leverage and benefits a lot more, because we're able to market them a lot better than a lot of other brands, because we don't have 900 ambassadors compared to everyone else. So,
right. Let's pause for a moment. What actually brings you joy? It's something most people never think about, yet it shapes how your life unfolds. You're busy. You make responsible choices. You even plan ahead. But have you slowed down long enough to ask if what you're building supports a life you enjoy living? That's the reason I built my YouTube channel, to help you bring more joy to your money journey. Sure, we'll talk about all the essentials, but my real goal is to help you connect your finances with what brings you joy, because money is the tool that funds the moments that matter. If you want to explore that connection more deeply, visit my YouTube channel at Larry Sprung. So, obviously you talked about your own personal experience playing hockey, starting at 10, playing up through, juniors, minor pro, et cetera. Why do you feel your experience playing hockey, or how has your experience playing hockey played a role in the product that you've built and you're putting out to market today?
Yeah, there's, I guess on our end, my experience in hockey was good. Like, my parents we were always a fortunate family for them to, put me in hockey. I think any kid is a fortunate family to play in hockey, but my parents always made it work when it came to equipment, skates, and, I was always pressuring my parents for like the most expensive stuff, because I thought it was going to make me skate faster, be like Austin Matthews as a kid. So I was always pressuring them for that. But like growing up, you start to realize that it's really just branding. That's really what it comes down to, compared to the difference. And, especially being in the industry, it's a lot of just branding is the difference. So seeing that difference as a kid, and kept seeing a lot of kids break sticks, and families couldn't afford it. And it was such a hassle to go the next day and not have a stick at practice. That was kind of our opening eye, and my opening eye to the industry. And, I wanted to make a difference for that. And those kids that I played with back in the day that just couldn't afford that situation, couldn't afford hockey sticks, couldn't afford gear. And I guess making that small little difference was very important to me.
So I guess what I'm hearing is, unlike my boys who play hockey, who have soft hands, and I have stones for hands, the stick's not going to solve that problem, or it will?
Our stick will. Our stick. I'd love to say our stick will for sure, but it's.
Well, I might have to test it out then, because I need all the help I could get, my friend.
No, for sure. Like it's definitely such a weird industry, because a lot of people value, like, it's just like anything. Like branding is so important. So that's kind of what we're trying to do on our end, is create such a massive brand that people feel like they can resonate with, in a sense.
Yeah, it always, the stick business was something that always boggled my mind to a degree, because it was like, by time they don't even sell through the sticks they have that they just put out, because they're constantly coming out with new ones. And, it's like the slightest piece of a gram less in weight and, very little's changed, but they present it like a lot's changed. And it seems like if they just let sticks go on the market for a few years instead of just a few months, that in itself could probably drive down costs because they'd be able to sell through so many. Are you approaching it a little bit different from that perspective, or are you constantly innovating, changing, with the seasons, how they come about and change?
Yeah, we're constantly innovating. We're dropping. Like we innovate without trying to do that marketing push that a lot of other companies do. Where like every single day, a lot of people don't know this. We're like, we'll get a bad batch of sticks, and like we're testing it, and we're seeing how we can improve the next batch and next batch. Where a lot of companies they get a bunch of sticks and that's it. They can't really innovate because of the amount of inventory they have. So we're inventory on every single batch of stick, and we're adapting every single time. So that's something that's a little bit different where it's not like we're not doing a marketing push every time. Like we're not dropping a new stick. Like if we feel like changing it and making it more durable, we're really just consistently innovating the stick as best as possible. So we can grow such a company and not have people upgrade. But we do drop new sticks once in a while when we have to do enough of like marketing and we have to innovate to a certain degree that the stick's going to feel different. But yeah, we've done a lot of aspects in that sense.
So, like Matt Keeler, who's the founder of Skate Skins, who I believe he was my guest on episode 259. One of the things you did similar to him is you really leaned into colors and graphics as part of the design. Why was that so important to you?
You know what? It was always such an important thing for me to have a stick that looked cool and looked a little bit different. And that's what stands out of us about a brand. Like our sticks now are such a noticeable thing but it's still not too much where like you'll notice for players using our stick. And in our first design, like I built that design from scratch. I hand drew it, everything all along the lines, and that's probably why it didn't turn out as good in the early days. But like I would be watching a youth game or something, and like I would have to squint to see if that's our stick. And that was such a big aspect to like make a design that's almost like a staple product and makes sense to hold that design. So that was kind of our biggest aspect when designing and when trying to innovate on the products overall.
Yeah. You want people to know if they're using your stick. You want it to be seen and easily visible so people don't have to say, what kind of stick is that? They know, hey, that's from Swift Hockey. I got to go get one of those right off the rip, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's definitely it. But, it's also having, it's not doing too much on our graphics. Like we really try, and like some of the other brands are there's just too much on the stick. So we try and not do too much because I personally, I'm not really a flashy human. Like I don't wear massive bright colors and like try and stand out there and like massive Gucci jackets, whatever the case is. So like I built the stick, like every stick is something that I would still use to this day in games and in practices as well.
So listen, you have a lot of experience starting this company when you're 19, building it from scratch, going on, the den and pitching your idea, so what advice do you have for other entrepreneurs who are listening, who are in the middle of either thinking about or they're trying to build a brand? What advice do you have for them?
Lots of advice. It's definitely been a long road. It's only been 3 years, and I guess we've accomplished a lot as a company, but we're really like our goal is really trying to make a difference. Like that's the most important thing to me, is doing everything possible to make a difference in the community. And I think it's like some important business aspects is business advice is something that we do better than everybody else. We move a lot faster than everybody else. And I've seen a lot of people in my life, and they I guess you definitely have to, that they'll have a business idea and they'll kind of sit on it for years. Or they'll try and tinker with it and make these long plans for years and years about launching their business. And like our difference is that I have an idea and it's out within 2 days. Like we have it out within a day, or we try and get it out within an hour. So that's kind of been our best benefit, is that we move faster than everybody. And that's kind of what kept us on our toes. We innovate faster than everybody. We market faster than everybody. And then, on top of this, like a big motto we have within our company, and now we're at about 15 staff here, is volume negates luck. And that's something like we just keep doing. Like we do so much more than everybody else. And like, I know you could definitely understand that as well. Like we're posting about 500 times a week.
Right.
So like that volume is like, not every post is going to do well, but like we're going to have a lot more success by doing more versus doing less, in my opinion. And that's kind of how we've raised the company when it comes to sales leads, everything. Like that's kind of where I'm pushing the team here. So.
Yeah, I would imagine for like a product or a brand, and whether it's a stick or a piece of clothing, I feel like, and I'm curious what you think, but I would think social media has been a game changer in that department, because people are taking videos of themselves using different products. And if it's your product, then it opens up other people's eyes. And basically your brand is growing organically, whether you put out the content or not. Obviously, you're putting out a lot of content, so that's kind of feeding that fire, so to speak. But then when you have that organic person who's doing it on their own, it just really adds that credibility and growth factor. Wouldn't you agree?
100%. It's definitely such a big aspect to having social media. Like some months we'll get about 10 million views a month, and getting those eyeballs by paying for it is so much money. Like it's an absurd amount of money, and we have done so well on social media to, I guess, attract eyeballs. And, we do a lot of super edgy things to get those eyeballs. Like we break a bunch of sticks, we cause a lot of havoc on the internet, but getting that amount of views, like that's kind of where, like, that's where the volume game is super important to me, where it's definitely like we'll do anything to get it more out there. And that's why we've been seen as much as we've seen so far. So social media is a massive aspect.
Yeah. Keep it up. Keep up the good work along those lines, because they're fun to watch. So thank you for sharing that with us. So, you've done something that very few people your age have done, and you were named a Forbes 30 under 30. What does that mean, or what has that meant to you to be named a Forbes 30 under 30?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest, I guess, personal accolades I've ever had and ever wanted as a kid. But it's definitely, I'm definitely grateful for that opportunity, and I think it says a lot more to the people that are around me as well. Like I know I'm the face on the award and my name's on it, but like I really want the staff and my family that's kind of also sacrificed so much to help me get to this point feel that award as well. And it's definitely been a super meaningful award for me personally. And, it's nice to be acknowledged once in a while for like all of those late nights and sleepless nights as well, trying to make sure everything goes well and pay those payroll bills on Friday in the early days when you have no money. So it's definitely been a good opportunity, and we definitely appreciate, I guess, Forbes mentioning us as, I guess, me becoming a Forbes lister ultimately. So.
Yeah, it helps validate that whole, iceberg analogy, if you've ever heard that, where, when you're looking at a business, you see what's above the water, the iceberg itself. But what most people don't see when you're building a business is all the stuff that happens below the waterline, right? They don't realize some of the sacrifice that you discussed and you talked about. They don't even realize it's there because it's not visible to them. So congratulations on that, on being recognized. It's definitely, a great recognition for you personally and to the team at Swift Hockey as well. So we are the Midland Money Mindset. We are all about joy. And we end the show by asking each of our guests the same joy-filled question, which is, what did you do today, Zach, that brought you joy and put you in the right mindset for success?
Wow. Well, what a question. Today's actually been a pretty tough day on our end. So definitely wish it was last week you asked this question, but on our end, it's waking every day and having my faith and believing in just moving forward and pushing forward every day is definitely what gives me that joy. Waking up and continuing to push is super important, and that's joyful enough. And, helping other people with our company is extremely important as well for us. So,
all right. Well, make sure you're doing something joyful every single day, because
I will.
You only get to do this life once, and you want to make it a joyful, adventure for sure. So, listen, Zach, sure. It's been a pleasure having you on, and we're going to have all your information for you and Swift Hockey in the show notes. But if people want to learn more about Swift Hockey, learn more about you, connect with you, have a question about your sticks, what's the easiest and the best place for them to go?
Yes, swifthockey.com. That's the easiest place to go. You can find us on any social media. You can find myself, Zach Thomas, on social media as well. It's spelled Zech Thomas. And yeah, we're really trying to innovate and change the game, and you'll see a lot of new things launching soon, new sports as well. So we can definitely be one of a conglomerate in, I guess, this industry. So
awesome. Well, Zach, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you for sharing. If you're a family out there and you're a hockey family and you haven't tried a stick from Swift Hockey, give it a try. It's going to cost you a fraction of what the other sticks are going to run. Give it a shot. And I appreciate you coming on, Zach, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks. You as well.
Today's conversation is a powerful reminder that the biggest breakthroughs often come from seeing a problem others accept and having the courage to challenge it. Zach Thomas didn't just build a hockey brand, he built a mission. One rooted in accessibility, creativity, and the belief that passion should never be priced out of reach. From founding Swift Hockey at 19 to earning national recognition through Dragon's Den and Forbes, Zach's journey shows what's possible when purpose drives innovation. This episode isn't just about hockey, it's about entrepreneurship, resilience, and creating meaningful impact by staying true to what matters most. That's the mindset we explore here on the Midland Money Mindset. Zach Thomas and Swift Hockey can be found across most social media platforms. All the contact information needed to find them can be found in the show notes.